and that's why I asked you. I mean, I could have Skyped you too, but I was just feeling a bit shitty.
Mm. No, I understand. No, I can understand completely. Yeah, that's been horrible.
Yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, and you, how your preparation going for your first trip?
Yeah, good. Yeah, it's just, little steps every day sort of thing. So no, it's good.
Yeah.
I was quite chuffed. I picked up a couple of lovely old chairs there on Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there was one of the original hotels in Brisbane called the Bellevue Hotel. It was built in 1850
Okay.
and demolished controversially in 1979. The government of the day, quite underhanded actually, just went and engaged these demolition contractors, and they came in at midnight and
Wow.
yeah, demolished the whole building. Lovely old building though. Built in 1859, so you can imagine what it looked like. It's like
Yeah.
2 or 3 stories with big verandas around it and colonial style and everything. Well, anyway, I saw this ad for these 2 chairs, and it was all a bit cryptic. She says, "Oh, there's 2 chairs. They need to be restored, so they'd only be of interest to someone who's interested in restoring furniture." And I thought, "Oh, well, that's me."
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're lovely chairs, and she said, "Oh, there's also a backstory, but I won't say anything further about that. I'll just talk to the prospective buyer about it." So that sort of piqued my interest as well, sort of thing. So anyway, so I contacted her and I went down, and they were down on the Gold Coast, which is about an hour away.
Yeah.
And I said to her, "No, I'm happy to buy them," and she says, "Oh, well, the story behind it is that her father was the last owner of the Bellevue Hotel,
Wow.
and so these chairs came out of the hotel, but they'd been in there like virtually since day one.
Right.
So her mother held on to these chairs because they had some sort of sentimental value to her mother, and her mother has since passed. And she just said, "Oh, look, I just don't have room for them, and they need, someone to work on them and all the rest of it." So she was moving them on. But I was really chuffed because,
Goodness, yes.
because I've got a sort of these 2 chairs with provenance, out of a historic hotel in Brisbane.
Right.
But it's sort of a lot of irony around it because the motto of the demolition company that knocked the hotel down,
Yeah.
their business motto, there was the name of the business was Dean Brothers. So there's these great big burly men,
Yeah.
and their motto was the only thing we leave behind are memories. So I sort of thought to myself, well, actually, I've got a bit more than a memory there now. So I've actually got something tangible. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
That's
so I was quite chuffed with it. So yeah,
okay. That's really got some history. Eh?
it has. Yeah, yeah.
Have you been able to find out actually who made the chairs for the
No,
hotel?
not as yet. I haven't really done much more research other than that. In fact, I've on my to-do list. I actually want to go through some of the archives and see if I can find any photos like inside the hotel where you see the chairs.
Right.
So.
Yes. Wow.
Mm. So if I can find something like that, then that'll be the cherry on top, I think. So yeah.
Absolutely. But it also
Mm.
makes you think, well, have any other hotels in Australia been demolished like that? Do some
Mm.
research. You can become the restorer
Mm.
of these
Yeah,
mysterious disappearances.
yeah. So it all sort of, one of those sort of things that just sort of all fell into place. And I said to her, look, when I finish restoring the chairs, I'll send you a photo, like, and she was really, really, really impressed. And she said, "Oh, that's fantastic." And she said, "Oh, I've had so many people come here and didn't want to offer any money for the chairs, and I didn't want to give them away." And I says, oh, I'm glad you didn't, because I think, and she says, oh, what are you going to do? Are you going to sell them? I says, no. My grand purpose is to preserve and conserve, so once they're all finished, I'll, look at, where an appropriate place might be for these chairs, to endure, sort of thing, So, so she was just really happy, She just, oh, that's fantastic. So,
Right. Okay.
mm,
Great. Yeah. That is really a highlight. That's a hell of a story.
yeah, it's it just happened.
Yeah.
I was just looking of all places on Facebook and on the marketplace area there, because there's a lot of stuff on marketplace. It's sort of almost
Yes,
superseded
yeah.
eBay and Gumtree and all of those, really. But and it's really the only reason I go onto Facebook these days. And there they were. So.
Yeah. And you can limit on Facebook the distance away from you. I don't know if you know that. You can say only show me adverts sort of within 100 Ks of me or 50 Ks of me.
Exactly right. Yeah, exactly right. I'll see
Yeah.
if I can find a photo here just so you can have a look at them. But got them here somewhere. Not jumping out at me for some reason. Don't know why. Nope, not going to help me. Oh, there they are. So if I can share my screen for a moment.
Okay.
Can you see anything? No?
Not yet. Yes, I can. Okay. Aren't they beautiful?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you almost imagine those, besides a dining room, it's like in a reception area or a bedroom chair.
Could be, yeah. Any of those, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, and they're in remarkable condition for.
They're in good condition, eh?
Yeah, I mean, one of them's a bit wobbly and they need reupholstering. It's got some few tears and marks and stuff and that. But
Yeah.
but considering, that assuming they went into the hotel like in the 1850s,
Right.
they're doing all right for their age, aren't they?
Aren't they just, what do they call it? Those legs are Elizabethan legs, are they?
Queen Anne, I think, aren't they? Or,
Yeah.
they actually call the chair a balloon back, because of the shape of the back of the chair. So,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, so
And the wood, what's it made of, then, boy?
I think they're walnut, actually.
Oh, walnut. Okay. And they've been stained a bit darker, haven't they?
A little bit, yeah. But well, it's probably dirt more than anything. But
okay.
yeah. So I haven't done anything to them. I haven't cleaned them or anything yet. It's just brought them home. That's all I've done. So
Yeah. So how would you tackle them? Would you take them apart and do piece by piece?
yeah. Well, the one that's a bit wobbly, yeah, I would take that one apart and re-glue it.
Yeah.
They both need reupholstering.
But you want the same material?
No, it'd be pretty hard to find that material. I mean, you might do. I don't know, but I think they call that pattern a Regency stripe. I think they call it.
Yeah, I would imagine something. The Regency clearly. Yeah.
So so I've got a bit of work ahead of me in terms of finding things and that, but they're definitely going to be a conservation project. That's for sure.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Oh, well done.
Yeah. So
you've attracted it, man. It's super.
yeah, I must have done. Must have done.
Absolutely. You're focused. You've got an intent. You're moving forward.
Yeah. And it just lined up perfectly, when she sort of gave me an opportunity to talk about my grand purpose. So
yeah.
So no, I was really quite happy with it, and it also for me, as you said, it sort of gave me I was excited about it, but it also gave me some ideas about, okay, well, exactly what you said. Well, there's some other historic buildings around or something that are no longer here that you might be able to find something that related to it or something. So
yeah. And it's just so appropriate because you are Australian. You know,
Mm.
if you go on that sort of route,
Mm.
looking for these old pieces to be able to preserve for prosperity,
Yeah, yeah.
uh, it's just amazing. I mean,
Mm.
you're really getting onto the straight and narrow now.
Yeah, well, it is, because I mean, when I think about some of the other pieces of furniture, that I've got, like from the early 1800s, well, they all typically come out of the UK or out of Europe or somewhere like that.
Yeah,
But when you think about, the time frame, like 1850, well, the first fleet came to Australia, I think, in the late 1700s, I think it was.
okay, okay.
So it was still quite a young city, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah. You mean country? Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, well, put your feelers out. If I can help you in Western Australia in any way, you must just let me
Yeah,
know.
well, there's a lot of history over there too, isn't there, So
Yeah,
yeah.
particularly in the prisons area, where the first prisons were. And
Well, it sort of almost got a sense of urgency about it at the moment too, because like, there's new development going up everywhere. And
yeah,
the mindset of the developers is almost like a scorched earth policy. They just come in and they just wipe everything out, even the vegetation, like
yeah.
historic trees and everything's just razed to the ground.
Mm,
So, yeah, so the more that happens, the less likely it is that you find things. But
yeah,
it's certainly worth doing, though, in my view. So, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
You
And
know, and it's really put that sort of focus for me as well.
yes,
Mm,
yes.
mm.
Even, just going to research, those, let's just stay with hotels for now. We don't have to, but, just hotels of that era,
Yeah. Mm.
going back to 18 something another.
Yeah,
Okay. Uh,
exactly right. Yeah.
yeah.
Actually, I'll see if I can find a picture of the hotel for you. Um,
Yeah.
bit hard to see it actually. I'll see if you can see that. Can you see that?
No, not yet.
Okay. Why is it not sharing? Oh, because I've got to start sharing. That's why it hasn't.
Yes, I can see it now. Oh, yes. Okay. Uh, yeah, that's so typical. You see a few of those designs around Australia, this in my side.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, and yeah, it's interesting. Even in South Africa, in the town that I was born in, I can immediately picture buildings like that.
Yeah.
You only two stories in
I think
Graham.
that one's 3 stories, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
three stories. Yeah,
Mm.
but um,
But even that streetscape there now, because that would be like the Parliament House is just over here
yeah,
over here. So, and that would have to be one of the busiest streets now in the CBD. But you look at it there, it's still just an earth road.
yeah. And I'm trying to see if I can see if there's a date on when that was taken, but I can't see a date on it anyway.
No, it doesn't seem to be a date on that one. No.
Yeah.
But it'd be quite early though. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it wasn't even a black and white photograph, again, unless somebody added color afterwards. But
I think what they did in those days with some of the photography is it actually was a black and white photograph, but they sort of hand touched it with
yeah,
and that. So yeah,
okay.
yeah. But yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I find it interesting anyway.
Yes, I find it very interesting. So it'd be great to sort of, wherever you find a home one day for the chairs,
Mm.
is to give them maybe a framed photograph as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh,
Exactly right.
yeah, yeah. Maybe even,
So so it's, yeah, as I said, it's added a real sense of, purpose and focus for me now. So
Yeah. That's exciting, man. I'm excited for you. That is great, man.
yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
And I think there's a sort of a convergence there of a few areas, because there's obviously the history, which I love, and there's the opportunity to preserve, which is really important to me. But also there's the opportunity to write about these things as well.
Yes.
So,
Oh, of course, yes. Absolutely. Yeah. And also, yeah, likewise record videos about them as well.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, you can probably use them with in this training session you're going to be doing, okay, as well.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I had that in mind actually, because part of me looking for on the marketplace was to exactly do that, is to find a couple of pieces of furniture that I could just take along and say, well, this is the process I use, and
Yeah.
but make it very sort of participative, sort of, if there's half a dozen people in the room, sort of say, okay, so how would you tackle this? And,
Yeah.
what would you do? And what do you look for? And, all of those sorts of questions sort of thing.
Right. And then once you tell them what you would do, you tell them why.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's exactly right. So,
Fantastic.
yeah, so I'm really quite excited about that. It feels right. It feels good.
That's the bottom line, eh?
And it feels
good.
Purposeful as well, which is
Yeah.
Which reminds me, full moon tonight.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Full moon.
So much rain, so we haven't had access to the moon.
Yeah, they're calling it the blood moon because it's one of those ones where it's quite close to the Earth or something. And I think there's also a lunar eclipse, meaning that the Earth cast the shadow over the moon, I think.
At the same time now, I know there was going to be one.
Yeah, I think that's tonight at 9 o'clock our time or something. So it'd be about 7 o'clock your time.
So, okay. And I hope that I see some of the clouds are parting, but it's still about 80% cloud.
Well, the other significance of the full moon tonight too is it's also the anniversary of the enlightenment of the Buddha. So,
is that so?
Yeah. So it was this full moon that he became enlightened. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because by 7 o'clock it will be dark. Yeah. In winter. So.
You should see if you can have a look at it. Yeah.
Definitely will. 2 hours time. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for telling me that. Because usually I become aware of the full moon because the moon comes into my bedroom at night time and I get up and it's bright but of course with
I was going to say it might also explain some of the erratic behaviour you've experienced over the last couple of days as well.
I hope it bashes it up.
They talk about the lunatics, don't they?
Where does that come from? Yes, you're right. People go mad on full moon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Goodness me, yeah. Very interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. But just bear with me for a minute. I'm just going to shout to Sue because you can hear me. The parrots are back eating, the rainbow parrots, and with the bandicoot at the bottom. Okay, so I'm sitting here talking to you, and I'm watching two beautiful parrots and a bandicoot in my garden. And but we had an interesting incident today with the bandicoots. Okay? Is that we've always only just had one female, and quite young, I guess, but it's had a few babies because the gestation period's only 12 days, and today a much older, he's the one that's in the garden now, came in for the very first time and chased the other one. Okay.
Oh, really?
Chased and speed and chased the other one out and then started eating where the usual. And now he can't get enough food. He's rushing around everywhere, and I haven't put down any food yet. Put it down later on this evening for tomorrow morning.
Oh, he's a bandit.
This is the old bandicoot, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's banded parrot.
Okay. Oh, it's just the banded one. Okay. Anyway, sorry, Don.
No, that's interesting. Yeah.
That's,
You've got quite the ecosystem going there at the moment.
those
Rainbow parrots are beautiful birds, aren't they? The colours are so vibrant, aren't they?
Yeah. Now the one has a very dark red, and the other one, I mean, not head, but like a hat on the head.
Yeah.
And then the other one is much lighter. So we assumed the darker one was the male.
Yeah.
Okay, because isn't it always the other way around in animal?
The men are always better looking in the bird world.
Sue shouts, you hear that? Men are always better looking in the bird world.
Bird world, that's right.
So, yeah. So I'm really pleased to hear that you are just moving forward, and it is really moving forward. It's great. Okay.
Yeah, so it's given me some real areas that I just want to start exploring a bit more too, and just see what comes of it, you know. So,
yeah.
Because I'm really not aware of anyone else sort of doing that, you know. So
It's also interesting because you probably would become aware of other people. Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll see what happens.
But that's now another reason that you need to let yourself be known out there in a gentle sort of way, you know, just to say you are seen by people as you know, Mr. Restorer or whatever you want to, you know, maybe find a tagline or something, you know, care and preserve or something like that. That's a tagline, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and then so you know, it would be out there. So if people are like this woman, perhaps, okay, she put an advert on it, attracted you. But if other people are now looking for somebody, you know, maybe it's been a death in the family and they want to, the same reason, you know, want to make sure it lands in good hands, their antiques. And so that, you know, create a profile out there.
Yeah, no, I will, definitely will. Yeah, and it's given me that focus now that I can, you know, build that profile, you know, with some confidence now too. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That's really good.
And I don't know why this just comes to mind right now, and that is, you know, if you find people that make miniature duplicates of articles, you know. So if you find somebody who really loves his art and he makes miniatures and things like that, you know, that's a typical person you link up with, you know, and
that's right. Yeah, that's true.
Interact with, and you know, maybe you can show him pictures of, here's something to make a miniature. It's got a history behind it, so make a miniature with it.
Yeah. No, that's so true.
Yeah.
So true. So no, there's lots of avenues to explore there. That's for sure. You know. So.
Things, and they all related. They all add in value to your core purpose.
Yeah, they're exactly right. I mean,
and
as these things crop up like these have, it's just adds another layer of clarity as well. You know.
Yeah. That's great. Reassuring, motivating.
It is. Yeah. No.
Energizing. Yeah.
So it's been really exciting actually. So.
That's great, man. Super.
Yeah. So what else have you been up to? Anything exciting at all? No, nothing sort of exercising your mind, or I guess it's all been a bit all-consuming for you, hasn't it?
And I see something's come through from Moya today. It must have been today. I had a quick listen during the day, but I couldn't listen properly because I was doing something else, which I shouldn't be. But I'll send it. I think it's about 10 minutes, another exact, sort of like before. But now he's actually, it sounds like he's calling on people to gather around. Okay. But I'll listen to it again. I'll send it to you, and then Lee sent it to me. So I guess it's also on Facebook as well. but Lee's always sends it off to me as soon as he does it. So,
yeah, well, that'll be interesting to see. Yeah, see what he's.
Yeah. It will be, and if he's now calling people to sort of, it sounded like. Sorry, I'm speculating now because I haven't got it totally in my consciousness, but he was saying, just create a platform help me create a platform so that I can talk to the world.
Okay.
That's something that we were saying. So,
well, he should be talking to you because you've offered to do that on a number of occasions, haven't you? So.
Yeah, he's never been happy about my ideas. Okay, so and also another aspect, he's always felt the time hasn't been right. Okay, for my ideas. Okay, so but I'll listen to it again, and he knows I'm always there, and I would help him with a flick just like that. Because it's really, really important, this world and what's happening to it. So
certainly is. Yeah, there's some big changes I think going on, below the horizon. I bet you look at all this nonsense with Bill Gates and
yeah,
all that sort of stuff. I mean, that doesn't just happen by accident. That sort of stuff, like there's some pretty powerful forces at play there. I think, So
definitely. But you say about it, yes. In my research, I actually came across something really fascinating. I was looking at research for a Get Set Up class on sort of something to use with Google Earth, because they Get Set Up wanted me to use Google Earth in some way or other. Okay, so I was doing some research, and as normal with me, I went off at a tangent, and I came across this guy who I'd never seen before. Young, I guess, probably, I'm guessing, in his mid-30s or something like that. And I saw at the end of that he was a numerologist, okay, and he stood there talking. He might have had a script in front of him or something. That's irrelevant. But the information he came out was about Lemuria, okay.
Oh, okay.
And oh my goodness, okay, was it interesting, okay, about these people who generally were about 7 foot tall, the Lemurians, okay, and how they were just beautiful, kind, caring people to each other. They used to produce food that was in abundance for everybody. Okay? On the continent, there was nobody that went without, and they were very advanced with technology, okay, and quantum physics, okay. And but the interesting part sort of came at the end. I'm actually sorry that he didn't carry on talking. Even though the half an hour that I listened to was on YouTube. At the end, the Lemurians were they supported other civilizations, other communities elsewhere on the planet, okay? But only if those people were non-aggressive, okay, and they cared about their people, okay, then they would share everything, including the technology, but would share their farming methods, which were very advanced, very sophisticated, very holistic. And but they gave birth to, by offshoot, by people, almost like the fallen angel story, okay, of Atlantis, okay.
Oh, okay.
And Atlantis took their technology, which was based around crystals and using crystals for memory, and Atlantis they were selfish. They wanted to conquer and so forth. And then Lemuria, they were aware that it was going to happen, that the continent submerged. The continent was somewhere between and there are maps and things from now, new scientific things, between Australia and North America.
Okay. Mm.
Okay, I think that's the Pacific, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And the only thing that ever remained of it was the Pacific Islands. Okay.
Mm.
And so there are pictures you can research today of the what's left of these statues and things that were on the islands.
Mm.
But still reaching the climax, okay, that they knew that it was going to be submerged. They knew that we were going to, but they had always, the whole civilization had worked between the third and the fifth dimensions, okay,
Mm.
all the
Mm.
time, just by thinking. They were able to do that and move between the two. So the sinking of the continent wasn't a big issue for them, okay, because they're just moving off the third dimension and continuing on the fifth dimension. But some of them decided to stay behind and help Earth at some time in the future, okay. And so they then went underground, okay, to the center, more towards the center of the Earth, and with all their technology and spacecraft and everything like that they had, okay. And their outlet, their main, is Mount Shasta in Colorado, in the US, okay. Now that mountain has been worshipped by people even to this day. Okay, they go out there and they worship and they picnic and they go and climb the mountain, and there's always sightings of UFOs around there. Okay, and that seems to be like the hub. And so these Lemurians are coming and going out of this mountain, but in order to not disturb the Earthlings, they come out in the fifth dimension. Okay, and go off to other planets. Okay,
sounds almost like an identical story that I've heard about Mount Kailash. Kailash, I think it's called.
Kailash?
Yeah, up in the Himalayas.
Okay.
And there's also this lake up there in the mountain region. And whilst everything's frozen up there, because of the altitude and so on, the lake isn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And what they say is that, there's lots of stories about interaction with them. And it sounds exactly identical to what you've just described, is that people who go up there and meditate by the lake, and they can only do it laying down, like laying flat on the ground, is they have this really strong sensation when they interact with these beings.
Right.
And they experience really hot foreheads.
Okay.
I'm
just writing down the word Kailash, you said, eh?
Yeah, it's called Mount Kailash. I think I'll just get the spelling for you. 1 second.
Otherwise, just put it on Skype for me.
Yeah, it's spelled K-A-I-L-A-S-H. Kailash.
K-A-I?
Yeah, L-A-S-H.
Okay, Kailash.
So it's
sure, is it Kailash Lake or?
No, just the Kailash range apparently.
All right, I'll pick it up from there.
Yeah, so it's up in Tibet and it's up at an altitude of 6,600 meters.
Okay, higher. Now this one as well, Mount Kailash is the highest, or one of the highest mountains in the North America. Okay.
Interesting thing about this mountain is it's never been climbed.
Okay. Okay, that is interesting. Yeah.
Never been climbed.
Yeah.
Anyway, but the story is almost identical.
Okay, that's so interesting. Where did you pick up the story from? Any idea? Another link for me?
I think it was through Sadhguru, to be honest with you.
Oh, was it?
I
Okay.
think it was. Yeah, I think he's got some videos on it. I'll see
Okay.
if I can find them.
Yeah, please. And then stick it on any one of the medias. That's fine. Not
Yeah,
so much Skype, actually, unless you do it now, because I don't open Skype on a daily basis, but I certainly will keep it open tonight.
yeah.
While you're looking, I'm just going to quickly shoot off to the bathroom. Just stay there.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got a prostate problem or a bladder problem or something. I'm not quite sure what the hell it is.
Oh, that's no good.
Anyway.
I've just put that link to that video there for you as well in the chat.
Chat. Okay. Then.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Thank you very much.
Mm.
That's good. Okay. And okay, that. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, done it to and we minimize it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this whole research, I started out, first of all looking for Atlantis. Okay.
Yeah.
And then, I don't even know, I don't think anybody knows whether Atlantis was actually just a large city or whether it was a continent.
Yeah.
And I'm still no wiser. But I'm assuming that it's a city. And now there are many, many lost cities under the sea. So I was looking, and so for the class, I thought I'd rather focus around the Bermuda Triangle because there's a lot of mystery. And there's just recently, actually, at the depth, because it's one of the deepest parts of the world, of the oceans, in the Bermuda Triangle. The valleys and things down there. So, and now they've just discovered also 2 crystals, enormous crystals down there, bigger than the pyramids. Okay.
Really? Okay.
And so that leaves to a lot of mystery, but I wanted to get past that, and I was going to actually talk about a continent of Atlantis, and I couldn't find anything that anyone. But then I stumbled on, of course, which I knew was Lemuria, and Moya talks about Lemuria as well, and so and that's where I focused, and that's how I came across this. Really interesting. So I'll probably continue in that vein, and I'll see how the class comes up, whether old people want to hear about these things. I'm not allowed to use other people's videos, even for a snatch. But I can use images from wherever. So I've got to put together a story with images. So that's what I'm working on at the moment for my next class.
Oh, good.
Is that, yeah.
No, that should be good.
Yeah.
Well, I hope they get on top of this hacking nonsense. I mean, I really do, because the work you're doing is too important for it to be interrupted by idiots, So
yeah. But the interesting thing, Don, is that, as I mentioned to you, I had 3 lessons today. Okay. One of them didn't have any hackers, and that was the business one. Okay. And I thought, I wonder some significance in that,
well, that's true. No.
Yeah, and so anyway, we'll we'll see. Because the day before, I never had any in the business. In fact, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday now, I haven't had any hackers in the business one, but in every other one there was. So actually, for 3 days, I hadn't actually thought back that way. So we'll see tomorrow, the 4th, that comes out. And I've got the same followers now at last. That started in one. And remember, I told you last time I spoke, I had people coming in for the first time in the last one and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I've been thinking, and so now I've got a group of about 5, I think, or 6 people, 7 people that have moved through now from one. So today was like a really special class because they all shared their purpose, what they had been doing, and everybody was so interested in everybody else's, as well.
Yeah.
And,
it'd be good if you can sort of form some sort of, even if it's like a closed Facebook group or something like that, to keep that sort of energy going. Maybe.
I would have to do it within Get Set Up, okay, and maybe have something like that. It's a really good idea. I think I must put that forward as a suggestion.
Yeah, make it a closed group, so the only people who can participate are those that have finished the 5 sessions, sort of thing. And
yeah. Otherwise, maybe people can be observers if they want to. In other words, within the streaming of Get Set Up within their own website where people have to log in.
That's true.
Watch it as an observer, perhaps. Have a window into the room. So because it's great to listen to other people's success stories and the way they're moving and where they started, because just about everybody in class 1 starts with confusion. Okay.
Yeah.
And then slowly they move through it. And so, yeah.
Well, that's exciting. That's really good.
Yeah, that's the one course that I just always come away feeling more energized than when I went in.
Yeah.
And it might be because there are no bombers, I don't know, but
I think it's one of those courses which does have a lot of meaning behind it. It's not just, let's learn how to use Pinterest or learn how to use something. It's people having a good hard look within, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think you're right, because when I'm now doing this research we spoke about Lemuria, I want to keep going. I want to keep researching. I want to put it together, and I know what's going to come out of it. It's going to be this brilliant civilization that we're caring, and in other words, everything that we're looking at for being a creative society.
That's right. Exactly right. Yeah.
It was there. Okay, it was there. So one can talk freely about that and talk, put in the little words that that I'm accustomed to doing, and sort of making suggestions to leaning forward. So that's exciting me. If I can get that going, that could even be also a series, or maybe lost civilizations, and even if you focus on like Atlantis, which is a negative civilization, if you like, even the negativity, you can bring out the positive future and sort of the contrast.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So if you ever, just in your wanderings around, come up with any sort of links to do with any of the things we've spoken about this evening, then please just drop them to me, and I'd be very appreciative.
Well, I'd encourage you to have a look at that video, because there's no hiding around it. He just talks about aliens.
Yeah. No, and that's fine, because if you're talking about Lemuria, you're talking about Mount Shasta, you have to be talking about, well, actually, wait a minute. Something's just occurred to me. Why must you be talking about aliens? Because they're not aliens.
No, they're not.
They're not aliens. No.
No, they're not.
You're talking about Earthlings and humans. But, because they're visiting the aliens, they're going out there. And I see the Americans have let the first little leak out about aliens from one. It's so pathetic. Why don't they just come to the fore and talk openly instead of...
there's a lot of stuff starting to come out now quite freely. Like, it's like the the crack in the damn wall, you know, like it's going from a dribble to a bit of a stream now. I saw there was a post there the other day that it was like a photography group, and someone had like, oh, this new U-Butte digital lens and that, and they pointed it up to the moon, and lo and behold, there's these two spacecraft up, you know, sort of rendezvousing, you know, in the atmosphere of the moon, sort of thing. You think, oh, there you go, like, yeah. They're not even trying to hide it anymore.
Yeah, it's interesting, but it's all, as a little bit, as you say, the little leak in the damn wall.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, isn't it? You know, so
and then it will come out,
yeah.
and they wanted to come out as a diversion, I think. So I think it's going to come out in the open media as a major diversion for quite what?
Because I'm listening to this book at the moment too, and it's called, what's it called? It's a Japanese term, and my Japanese is not very good. It's called, just bear with me 2 seconds, I'll just bring it up. It's called The Book of Ichigo Ichi. So it's spelled ICHIGO ICHIE.
Okay.
And basically what the term means in Japanese, like there's no direct English translation, but basically the idea behind the term is the fact that every moment is unique, and there's a recognition of the specialness of that moment because of its uniqueness. So
Yeah.
it'll never happen again, and it's never happened before. So and quite often that term is used with it, well, not so much in modern day, but in the past, you know, as a Japanese greeting, meaning, you know, oh, so I'm meeting you today, and we've never met like this before, and we'll never meet like this again.
Right.
So let's treasure the moment that we have here together now. So that's the sort of idea behind it, sort of thing, you know.
Yeah.
So there's a really strong argument, in my view, to encourage that sort of mindset, however you want to develop that, around. There's going to be lots of distractions around there, as there are now in social media and people bombing Zoom meetings and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's important to keep that central focus on, you know, the uniqueness of what's happening right now. So, you know, so, and I think because that's where the truth always lies, doesn't it? In the right now.
Yes, it is, absolutely. So what is the theme of the book, or what is it moving through? But, you know, I understand this is the theme, but what's the storyline?
Oh, it's basically what's the best way to describe it? It's written by a Spanish guy who spent some time in Japan, and I think he sort of stumbled across this idea. And because it's one of those elusive sort of ideas in terms of trying to get a translation around it, not only in English but other languages as well, it's quite an elusive concept, and it's used in many different contexts.
Right.
So really, I think it's just more like an exploration of what this idea is and how it's been applied within Japanese communities, and how people have used this idea as an important reminder, I guess, as a prompt about, you know, savoring, you know, the encounter that you're encountering right now, you know. So it's very, very grounding in that sense.
Okay.
And that's always like part of the paradox, particularly in the Japanese culture, because, you know, culturally, particularly post World War II, it was all about consumerism and manufacturing and money, and success at any cost, and working 28 hours a day, and you know, all the things that is really, you know, the direct opposite of what a lot of those key traditional Japanese cultural elements are focused on. Very strongly influenced by some streams of Buddhism, and very much by Zen.
Okay.
As well, in terms of, you know, simplicity and and presence and, you know, those sorts of dimensions. Yeah.
Right.
Which, ironically, the more I sort of think about them and research them, is really about fostering that creative spirit, you know, that natural unfolding.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's some really interesting ideas in there, and that's why, you know, like, and we've talked about this before about even the whole idea about, you know, what is creative society, and I think some of the elements that you're sort of touching on through your, you know, your purposing
Yeah.
course and other things through even the research about the civilizations, it'll come back, I think, and add lots of texture around, you know, this whole idea of creative spirit, you know, what it is and what it means and how to be in touch with it. And yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Mm, mm.
Okay. Well, it sounds like an interesting read. Eh?
Well, it is and it isn't, you know. Like I
Yeah.
got really frustrated with it this morning, like, because it's just an audio book that I'll, you know, listen to in the car, particularly in the mornings.
Oh, it's an audiobook. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and I got quite frustrated with it this morning because he was trying to illustrate some point, and he went into this. Oh, you know, like years ago, you'd go to like a conference or whatever,
Yeah.
and they'd always want to do these little snap polls, like, you know, or if this happened, you know, what do you think it would be? You know, option one, option two, or option three,
Yeah.
and there'd be
Yeah.
like half a dozen questions, and then they'd say, now score your answers. You know, option one is worth 2 points, and option two is worth 3 points. And I'm like, oh, give me a break, you know, like get out of it. Like this is
Yes.
you're trying to make it mean something that like force meaning onto it, and it doesn't mean that at all, you know. Like
Yeah. Manipulating your thinking, and it's
yeah,
even while you're driving.
yeah, well, that's right. But it's sort of funny, you know, because like you're sitting there listening to this book, and all of a sudden I find myself arguing with him.
And why not? And why not?
So, but I guess it just means I'm paying attention too, you know. Which is important, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, you know, is that the best you can do? You know, it deserves so much better treatment than you're giving it right now, you know. So anyway,
Yeah.
well, on that note, I should let you go, I guess. So
We can carry on talking all night. I don't mind.
we've covered a fair bit of ground there tonight. Yeah.
You got a
So
yeah, soon, just over an hour. Okay.
yeah, so I've recorded that, so it'll be available to you too if you wanted to download it. They're just in Skype. So
Yeah, I'll do what I always do: download it and
yeah,
upload it. They're all sitting on YouTube now.
yeah,
You
okay,
could, and it's all under the Phoenix Rising.
yeah, okay.
But you know, sorry, just to unless you have to go right now.
No, you're right.
Okay. Just talking and thinking about the Phoenix Rising. You know, when I was looking at all this Lemuria stuff and the people going underground, waiting for the right time to actually, you know, come and talk to their fellow Earthlings. Okay. And you know, I started thinking about the Phoenix Rising. Okay. You know, it's everything is in Lemuria like burnt to ashes. It's down. And now out comes the solution, literally out of this middle of the earth. Okay, and so I thought, nah, I'm glad we selected the Phoenix Rising. You know, it's going to probably find its place very profoundly at some point.
Isn't it interesting, you know, because I was just thinking there as you were talking too, you know, like when you look at the Alatra stuff, they're very unashamedly quite happy to, well, not so much parade, but you know, the lady there that often sits at his at his left hand, and they're quite happy to parade her now. And I've seen videos with her, you know, in a spacecraft orbiting the Earth and all sorts of stuff.
Have you? I haven't seen that. Okay.
Yeah, you know, so and there's no secrets there, you know, and there's no hiding. It's just like, you know, well, you know, here's this being, you know. So
okay. But she's a reptilian, isn't she?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So eyes went differently. So she's human but reptilian. So she is an alien.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And they don't portray her as anything else other than an alien.
yeah, yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Mm.
But she doesn't seem to share a lot.
She doesn't really know. No.
He does all the talking and all the profound.
Yeah. When she does talk, it's
Yeah,
it's sort of quite indirect, isn't it? You know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So you don't get any value listening to her, what she has to say. But maybe we're just too inquisitive. Okay, we just want the answers.
Well, it could be that too, but it could also be that the fact that we haven't sat down and listened to 8 hours of it or something.
That's
Maybe
true.
there's lots of nuggets of wisdom in there, but we just haven't sat there for 8 hours to find them. So
I guess I'm like most people too. You know, when I get all their videos and things that come through, I just look at the headings and just the heading. So I determine what the entire video is about from the heading. You know? So,
well, they've had a really strong death and dying theme in the last
yes,
few
they have.
videos, haven't they? You know, so
Yeah,
life
yeah.
after death,
Sent
and
me,
they
sent me.
seem to have these conferences around it almost. And this conference format seems to be like the new format for them
Yeah,
in some ways, doesn't it? But as I say, you have to be prepared to sit down for 8 or 16 hours to go
yeah,
through it. So
yeah, yeah. And I started the 3 hour one that Ilana sent me a recording, but
Mm.
I can't sit for 3 hours just listening to a recording.
Yeah. I sat there and listened to one of them earlier in the piece. Can't remember which one it was. Might have been the physics one, I think. And it went for like 4 hours or something like that. And I just sat down and watched it for 4 hours straight.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
You know,
Oh, could never do that.
and that was hard work because it was that particular video too. It was all in Russian, and they just had the subtitles up, and you had to really
You had
concentrate.
to read it. Yeah.
So yeah, that was really hard work. But yeah, I'm still not convinced that that's the best format to do that. But anyway, that's
Video,
what they're doing.
the conventions.
Well, no, not so much about the conventions. I mean, there's always lots of discussion there with sort of experts and stuff, and you've even participated in one yourself firsthand,
Yeah.
where people are invited to come and talk and present and that. But yeah, I just wonder, and I've probably got a lot of bias around it, but I'm just wondering whether or not, instead of just putting the whole conference up there, whether there was an opportunity at some point to maybe even have like a highlights or.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. You remember I was invited earlier this year to the diabetes one in the university in North America where they interviewed me. Now that went over I think a week, okay, of like 4 lectures of whatever length of time. And so there was but each one was on its own. So you could at least, you didn't have to sit and listen for a week, okay?
Yeah.
And you could also choose. This one was talking about this natural healing, and that one about a totally different. This one about acupuncture, and this one about massage or something. You could select and move through. But so I don't have a problem with that. But non-stop for 3 hours. Now as you say, they should take those 3 hours, even if they just cut them, and just chup into half-hour slots for
Yeah.
the thing, then and give it a title. Or I can understand it's very time-consuming for somebody to go through 3 hours and then have to bring it down into some
And
sort
do
of.
that. Yeah. No.
Yeah. But if they just chopped it up at least, in some logical, where somebody starts and somebody finishes. But anyway, I agree.
Well, that's what they tend to do with a lot of those talks that Sadhguru gives, because I've actually been to some live events, a couple of live events where he's actually spoken, and he'll speak for like 4 hours,
Wow.
But when you see the video content that goes up, the longest video would be 10 minutes.
Okay.
So they'll grab 10 minutes here, and even some of that 10 minutes could be edited out of a couple of different aspects of that
previously.
that, you know, and for me, that's where you get some real value, you know,
Yeah.
like, and if there's a particular idea or something that sparks your interest, well, then you've got somewhere else to go to dig a bit deeper, sort of thing, you know. So
Yeah, I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you.
mm.
That's what you want, because in 10 minutes you can get a lot out. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And
Uh,
so
in fact, Sadhguru's just released a new book called Karma.
okay.
So it's a maybe an essay, I guess you'd call it, on what the traditional meaning and focus and emphasis of karma is about. So, and I haven't read it yet.
Oh, you haven't read it, yeah.
No, not yet.
Yeah, Moya's also got a book on karma.
Is
Yeah.
it? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um,
So
it's I would guess probably both of them, but I'm guessing is that you know, the knowledge that we probably already familiar with. Um,
could be. Yeah, could be. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I think, you know, from what I've seen with some of the advertising for the book, it seems to really confront, particularly, I guess, that Western held belief that karma is like a reward or punishment thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Really got nothing, very little to do with that whatsoever, you know. So
yeah, yeah. But it can be perceived as that. You see,
that's right. Yeah, yeah,
because you know, negative stuff produces more negative stuff.
yeah. And I think maybe the more, I mean, I'm only guessing at this stage because I haven't read the book, but
Yeah, yeah.
I'm thinking it's more about karmic energy, you know, and how you can master that, or
Okay.
how you can be a slave to it, you know. So that's the sort of
Okay. We'll read it tonight and then give me a ring tomorrow.
yeah, I'll do
I'm
that in
not-
between watching the next 32 hours of Alatra videos at the same time. Yeah, my head would explode.
Okay, I think probably a good place to stop then. Huh? What do you think?
I think so too. Okay.
Said it about half an hour ago.
That's a good.